Hi guys, this is a quick and funny story. So it's about creating in reverse, and I want to demonstrate how I use this in my life. So I thought this was really cute and you would appreciate. So uh, First and foremost, you would have to understand what it's like to live with John, right? John is someone who has an amazing, amazing brain and way of looking at things. He notices every single detail, things that I wouldn't notice. In fact, his thought process is if I can think of he thinks of the whole concept, everything that can go wrong and everything that can go right, and what he would do in each occurrence all in an instant. That's the way he thinks, right? So he notices every last detail, things that I would miss. And so if you guys know anything about me, you know that when I teach you to collapse time and things like that, the first thing I do is notice what's different, right? So I'm fortunate enough to live with my other body in one brain who always notices what's different, right? So as you know, he's been gone all week. He was fishing, whatever. He came home, and the very first thing he went to go look for were the blueberries in our blueberry bush, right? Like he was looking for those because they were like all over the place. We had such a huge harvest before he left that was just waiting for us, right? And so the first thing he looks at me and he says, really disappointed, like, wow, you didn't save me not one blueberry, son? And so now this is really funny because obviously this is a moment in which I parallel hopped and I'm now in a new reality where we apparently don't have blueberries on this bush. But it was really truly funny because I didn't have the heart to be like, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. So I'm just going to keep quiet right now and laugh to myself. But just now I went to the top of the stairs and I said, baby, would you believe me if I said I have no idea what happened to the blueberries? Like I didn't, you know? And he's like, no way in hell. What do you mean? All right, then we have a predator outside. And I laughed, but it was funny. It was confirmation. Again, this is something that I'm working with on Sundays on a regular basis with some of the folks that we partner with, and so carrying them through that process, asking them to see what's new, and then still having new things appear in my life is funny. So a second example of this is that I decided to start juicing. It was, it sounded like a good idea, start juicing, right? So I juiced and I forgot that I had bought avocados, and so they had been in the fridge all week. Typically, if you leave an avocado that was nice and perfectly ripe all week in a fridge, by the time you get to it, it's a brown mushy mess, it's overripe, it's messed up, right? So that's what I know has happened in the past. So as I go, because John's making me eat solid foods, I'm not allowed because he's feeling the effects of juicing. So now I have to eat solid food. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna have an avocado for breakfast, I'm gonna totally do this. And then I was like, oh no, the avocados in the fridge, I gotta throw them out because they're gonna be bad. And again, I stopped myself like right mid before I even opened the fridge. And I was like, no, let me practice what I preach. Let me, speak life, not death. And in that moment, I said the avocados are gonna be perfect. Okay. So I go to the fridge, I go grab, I open it. Totally, but I practiced detachment of outcome. I kind of still half expected overripe of avocado, and I kind of half expected the avocado to be fine. But it was a detachment of outcome with certainty of where I was going with my desire. So sure enough, I open the fridge, I open the avocado, and it is so perfect. It couldn't be more perfect. It would make a perfect caprese with tomatoes and what have you, or it could be made in a salad, or it could be made in guacamole. But the point is, the avocado couldn't be more perfect. Meaning that as soon as I declared it, it happened. And so that's what I want you guys to understand. It's not about effort anymore. We're all already awake. It's remembering, what are you catching yourself up here saying? Because that's what you make real. It's a reverse order of operations. And remember that even though it looks as if nothing has changed, it has. Like, I didn't know I entered a new world. If John hadn't said the blueberries are missing, as far as I'm concerned, I was still in the old world. But every choice represents a new world. And so what you must get used to is seeing ahead of you, notice what's different, because what's different indicates that you've already parallel hopped into a new world. You have this power. If you don't understand how to be the intelligence behind all of 3D, then you're working against yourself. Please remember this. Holding up a belief in an establishment will make all of the establishment a government, a cabal, people rioting, everything. You make the whole thing. I'm not talking about being in 3D world anymore. I'm talking about how do you make 3D world better, right? How do you stop upholding it? Because even if we have the best of intentions when we want to tell people about an establishment and we want to tell them what's wrong with the establishment, we are still enslaving our whole soul underneath us and causing our own suffering, even as if we're trying to fix it in the process. It's doing it reverse. If you understand you are the intelligence behind 3D, you will not waste your time that way. You will start elevating people. You will start expecting the best and redeeming everyone and not claiming people are asleep, not calling them sheeple. This is all acting in reverse of your soul, and you are hurting your soul. And the riots are rightfully so, because you're not playing with the light and the shadow correctly. The riots are simply an indication of someone who has judged their own soul incorrectly, and now them fuckers are fighting for you. They're going to fight. You know why they're going to fight? Because your soul is perfect and you've just claimed their imperfection. If you don't understand what you're seeing in 3D, then you're not understanding your role. You're just playing a tiny role. And like I said, even the Queen of England is a tiny role in comparison to being master of your own universe and understanding how the light and the shadow works behind the veil. Because that's a true master. A true master does nothing except change it here first and then arrives. And then suddenly, people start understanding what the person is saying. People start suddenly acting in a different way. Things appear out of nowhere. That's how it works. At this point, I can have a conversation with a complete stranger, prove the law to her without her even knowing, and whatever she is looking for will appear like that. And so she's going to come back to me in that moment and be like, how did that work? What just happened? There's something different. Yeah. The difference is being the intelligence behind the 3D veil. That's the difference. If you're truly awake, you're not animating your shadow, you're lifting your shadow up. You do no good. Like, the only way I can help Corona is to accept that I am Corona. And as I accept that I am Corona, I also accept my immunity to Corona. And then presto, a whole shiitake full of people that are immune to Corona and who are unafraid. Those are my people. Those are the ones I animate. Okay? We all do this. So are the people that are afraid of Corona. Also my people, because all of it is me. There is nothing outside of me. And once you understand how to be non-dual, all the power is yours. All the power is yours. You will never feel helpless again. But if at any point in time you feel helpless to some organization out there, I guarantee you, you are on the wrong side of the equation, judging your shadow, making your own pain, and then surprised by the results? You shouldn't be. You created the whole thing. There are no victims. Right? So that's where I'm coming from. That's what I'm talking about. It's a very different way of existing because the law proves itself. It is absolute. It never fails. Do you know why? Because there is a constant that is occurring behind the veil. The veil is your shadow. The light is the constant. The light is boss. Whatever you say cannot be done in the dark can be done in the light. So, therefore, there will always be a person who can do something that the other one says they can't. And we exist this way harmoniously so that we can understand that everything around us is us. Everything. Everything.
everything. And so once you understand that, you start changing your trajectory, your experience, and you start teaching others, which is a very different way, because suddenly what's going to happen is all the ultralight beings I know on earth that are walking with me right now, that have just realized what I'm saying is true, they're going to stand up in their own power. They're going to stand away from the darkness, and they're going to start upholding the light that they know is real. And they're going to stop making victims in their world out there, because they're going to realize it's their world. They're the boss. They are the goddess or the god. And for the record, it's a little bit easier for the goddess. It is, because we rule the sixth dimension. The sixth dimension makes the fourth dimension. The fourth dimension then goes down to 3D. So if you understand that, then as a female, or someone who embodies feminine energy with ease, automatically has dominion over their earth if they understand this level of their multidimensional level of existence. We do, all dimensions are actually alternate, masculine and feminine. And so there are strengths that we have that we can use that we don't even know. But as women or men who can embrace their female nature, you now have access to 6D. Beyond 0.5D, 6D. 6D is the light template that makes all the way down to 3D. Okay, the light template must go then to the astral plane in 4D, then it trickles down and dies below. It appears to be leaving you, but is actually coming to meet you in 3D so it can be part of your experience. This is how it works. If you understand how everything in the invisible works, you have all the power in the world to make anything you want. Your vortex, your heart energy, remember, is already giving you what you want. You already have it. So then standing in the middle of this thing while it's trying to give you what you want and convincing yourself that you don't have it, and then working against yourself, makes no sense, but it makes our human experience, because here we're going to swim against the river to come all the way back around to the same source of origin, when all we had to do was turn around and accept who we are. So it's a very different way of existing, you guys, to the degree that now, like, blueberries disappear in my reality. You know, I'm sure they're going to appear again. Or a dog sitter card just appears on the desk because I said, oh, we need a dog sitter. And the card appears on the desk and no one knows how it got there. Right? Like, that's the type of juice I want everyone to understand that they have, because if they don't, they should. There is no obstacle anymore. Everyone in the world is awake. They just don't know what they've been looking at for so long, that they've been used to upholding the backwards reflection, or what has been, not understanding that we're standing precisely at this point as gatekeepers, as light gatekeepers, deciding what comes in and out. And so we still enter the experience unknowingly if we haven't understood that we are the gatekeeper that just needs to start seeing things in a better light so that we can take our people with us. We are actual whole universes upon ourselves. We're creating the multiverse. If you understand your role in the multiverse, you can lead the entire multiverse with you. That's some juice, you guys. Everyone has this power. I'm not saying that I'm in any way special. I'm saying this is how it works. So now what you have around you as matter, those people that we have judged as not us, as soon as we accept that it is, their life experience becomes our life experience, and suddenly we gain more abilities. And the people that we say are us, they get to enjoy the world with us in harmony. But this is the illusion of the experience, the universal experience, and how it works when you can manipulate the light and the dark in this way. Okay, so then you literally step into your ideal life and there are no problems. You just teach all other people how to do the same thing. And that is the type of power that everyone has. It's the whole point of being born. It's the whole point of our existence. There is no other point. There's no other point. How do you fall in love with yourself? Because as soon as you fall in love with your entire self-conception, you gain it all. you need nothing. There is some undoing that we have to do in the sense of we do have to try to unlearn what we know. Like my avocado example, it's such a simple little example, but I know that it should not have been ripe, but it couldn't have been more ripe the minute I decided that's what was. It's a present. It's being present, recognizing that what's behind you is there for you to see it in a new light so that everyone can go with you. That's juice. That's God power in you, right? And so as you do this, this applies romantically. This applies in everything. If you ever notice when you are romantically in this state of love, the whole world comes up roses. And when things start to fall apart, it feels as if our world is falling apart. That's because love is the only power that holds everything together. This is the vortex that keeps things coming towards you. And even when it appears like something is leaving, it's not. And you know you are in flow when things just automatically flow through you. Your vessel is just simply something that is a megaphone, and God speaks through you, and the light speaks through you, and everything you love, because everything that you are looking at below that is outside of you is you. It's you and your universal conception, and that's it. The whole design in the light at the highest level of our existence is exactly this. Our imaginary conception in the middle of all perfect God light eternity. This is our actual light reflection, the ultra light being. And then that being walks on earth knowing that everything around it is the universe. And so now you walk like Christ, Buddha, or anyone else, and you have that kind of magical powers, and you don't worry about a thing in the world, because everywhere you look, as soon as you take a step, it lights up. It lights up. It's like it was in the darkness and then it lights up. That's how I see now. It's like it's not there, and now because I'm so present, it lights up beneath my feet. And so now I can take steps where it doesn't look like steps appear. It's just like I just trust, like quitting my job or leaving my job without fear, right? I cannot fear because I already know the path even when no one can see it. There's no fear there because I understand God's plan for me is my own best desire, because there is no separation. The universe and I go together. One. And I just arrived at this conclusion. I know I've been teaching it, but I've just now seen like the pictures that you all have helped me develop in my mind is because of you. It's because of what you guys help me see. I see now in 3-dimensional pictures, so that when I'm talking to you, it's like I'm looking down. Oh, there you are. Hey, I see you. Oh, I can see what you're doing. Look, try this instead. And then what you guys say to me is, your insight, where do you get this? This is really cool. All I needed was a little help seeing differently, and then I got out, or I get it. That's because of my point of perception already being outside the box. There is no experience that I have not encountered yet, maybe just one so far, and even still, she is trusting me to walk with her in the dark. She's my eyes. Because for the first time in my life, in all of 20-something years of doing this automatically and unconsciously, I've always encountered my own experience in other human beings. And I have only one, and the only one, and she's watching, that right now I have no clue what to do. But we walk together, and we walk in the dark, and we are each other's eyes, and we're there for each other. Okay, so this is a trust and exercise. It's an exercise in trusting the universe. And when you're trying to learn the Tao Te Ching, one of the exercises that you do is you must get up at 5 o'clock in the morning when it's really dark and go walk in the dark so that you can only see but 10 feet in front of you. The purpose of that is to develop your trust in your ability to see the darkness in a different light, in your ability to harness your own light and to use that power now to have the shadow follow you instead of you trying to work with the shadow. Okay, it's really, really, it's going to boil down to this, you guys. It's your point of perception. You always get to be right. Nobody is wrong because everything in eternity is already created. All that you guys are doing when you descend into an experience from 6D as women, in general, when you descend into an experience, all that you've done is frozen that moment because you want the experience of making that moment in a new light based on what you would do in your highest interest. This is how you discover who you are, because in that moment, even though what appears not to be you, you are still loving your entire experience, masquerading as other people, places, and things. Okay? Every single person in the world, if you really want to see through them, because I now read minds, I can read their vortex, I can see what's inside of them and everything. I'm no different from anybody else. The only difference is I've understood your experience on display. Every single human being is your living memories. They're twisted up with all bunch of memories. This is the reason I know no one dies, and how I can see that, someone who just died is now pretending to be someone else in my reality, and I can see both the imaginary existence that they're pretending to be and the soul that they used to be, along with several others. I now see transfiguration. We could be looking at my face and I'll be looking at yours, and your face will flash and it'll become 8 or 9 different people at once. In order for me to read your aura, I will be reading all of these lifetimes at once, and I'll know what all of those beings are, because you are nothing but my beautiful living memories on display. And so this is cool, and I'm not special except to say this: everybody's design is this way. If you can see out of your eyes, you are seeing your living memories on display. They're all grumpled up and put together, and they make it look like another person, but it's not. And that's why it's so cool, because once you discover this is me too, oh my God, and you redeem your shadow if they're living in a negative light, as soon as they enter your experience, now they're experiencing your experience becomes one thing, and your knowledge grows. And if you don't believe me, then how do you explain all of my abilities coming out of nowhere just because I can see what you guys can do, and then I identify with that in order to be that for you in the moment, so that I can serve as your mirror so you can see yourself. And this is how I'm gaining these skills. Because trust me, even though I could see, I didn't know what I was seeing. It was automatic for me, and now I understand how, what, where, and why because of you. These are your skills. They're not even mine. I don't even exist. I'm this imaginary body that I project anywhere I want. This is how I'm appearing in other people's dreams, to have conversations with you all when I can't be in your face, right? All I do is project a body any which way I want, anywhere I want. It's eternal now. Everybody has this skill. I'm not special in any way, but I'm telling you, the way is make peace with everything in your experience. Every time you encounter something you don't like, love them and let it go. You don't have to engage. No one says you have to engage with the axe murderer, but stop seeing the axe murderer. Stop seeing it. Redeem it. Understand that we have a TV that programmed a bunch of axe murderers into our mind, so they got to exist there because we've accepted those things unconsciously. So redeem these things, because everything in the darkness that looks formed is not. It is waiting for you to redefine it, but it is, and it will always be your living memories on display, and it is up to you to learn how to love yourself concept. So when you're in the positive light, it's you and God, right? Oh, you got this, right? Everything's good. Yeah, okay. But when it's in the negative light, that's the moment that you are actually rescuing God from your self-concept, because God agreed to fall asleep and play the role that you believed real. And so, although both these things exist and must exist, you must understand your role in the middle. In the middle. Okay? And so the sooner we stop hating on what we're seeing, the better, the quicker, the faster things tend to get, because now you're acting in accordance to universal will, the light behind all 3D matter. And so I would like for you guys to understand this simple thing. Do you remember the quote that says, when two agree, the mountains will move? Okay? The two that must agree are your heart and mind. You must both accept them as real because you are the only one. Both your dual nature that you think you have and, basically understanding that is the whole thing, that your whole light makes a universal shadow, and understanding how to move that universal shadow as one. That's where your juice is. Okay? There are people in this group that, because they've been paying attention to what I'm saying, have created rivers where there weren't rivers before, who can look at a person at the pool and be like, watch, and go this to their friend. I'm going to make her get up and walk away right now. And the person gets up and walks away right now. And then the other person looks at the person and goes, how did you do that? And the other person just laughs, because we know we are the intelligence behind the 3D veil. So awakening isn't about upholding the shadow, isn't about upholding the veil. It's about understanding the shadow that you've cast and why you are there to correct it. And I guarantee you, if you have really good intentions and you really want the best and the best and the best and the best and the best of the best, that's why you're standing there. It's because that's what's real, and your shadow is what you came to redeem. Once you do that, now you're through the veil. Now you've stepped into the life of your dreams, and you just show up. No effort. No effort. You just show up. You want people to receive your message well? You see it beforehand. You accept that as real, because if it's your desire, that's what's real. And you step into that. Okay? But if you have a desire and you call it unreal and you live in fear of not having, you make that real. So then the crapshoot that you have of this up and down has always been up to you. You just had to understand how it works. Once you understand how it works, there's no more up and down. There's no more, I can't control circumstances in my life. It's not like you know what's happening. All of that, gone. You know. So someone would say to me in a coaching call, well, you never know what happens next. Correct yourself. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. If you know who you are, yes, you do. You know what happens in every moment. You can start seeing across planes of time and space. You start seeing things in a whole new light. You realize you're the intelligence behind all 3D matter. You get behind your entire cosmic body and you become the entire light in it. You actually understand your place in eternity, and you literally kind of ease your way like a puzzle piece into the light, and you just stand there in your power and you feel good knowing that down below there's a tiny little avatar, you, that is going to enjoy the best life has to offer because it has just made peace with who it is and its place in eternity as God of its own experience. That's what I want you guys to understand, because it's a whole nother way of living. It's a whole nother way of living when you can just command a river into place, or you can find a ring on your hand, or you find a missing wallet just because, even though you drove yourself nuts, you just start, instead of looking for things, you just start simply saying, it's found, it's found, it's found, and then it appears. You don't know how, you just accept that it's found. Very different from, I don't know where I'm going to find it. You see the struggle? You cause your own struggle if you understand how things work. So what I want you guys to really take home is precog. Be a precog. Be a precog. You are here as ultralight beings to be precogs, meaning that you're standing in the past, creating a new moment. You are eternal. You have the ability to bring in a reality that is 20 years ahead of its time and bring it down as the ideal, cement it in and enter that space and allow everyone in your universe to enter that space, because you're that bridge. You're that bridge. Or you can continue to uphold what isn't working and continue to try and wake up the people that will never know any better, because if you're seeing it outside of you, they're the shadows that must act in accordance to your will, even when you don't know what you're thinking. That's how it works. So then the master design the master design at the end of the day. Love yourself, love your shadow second. Those were the orders, divine order. First you, because you're the life force upholding everything you see outside of you, then everything else as you. So now you stand in the middle of eternity, receiving and giving in balance. Receiving and giving in balance. As long as you always give and give with kindness and treat your reflection with kindness, you will master your self-love to the degree that you will realize there's nothing but love, and then you see through walls. You see through walls. Walls, you guys. You see through walls. Or like, I just have a conversation and I'm not talking to you, but I can see what you're doing in your room, in your office, or whatever. You see through walls, time, and space, because the material veil is your actual shadow conception. And so the material veil is what you must see through. So when people say the veil is thinning, it's because the understanding of themselves is growing, making the shadow seem smaller than what it really is. And so now the light can go through it with such ease. You know, like I can just, what I'm describing, I know I'm standing here, but I'm seeing the other way. It's as if my eyes are turned back in here now. And even though I'm staring at you guys, my eyeballs can see behind me in ways that are constant. And I can see where the constant or the precog makes everything below. And so that's what I'm trying to get you guys to do. It's a flip. And you stop struggling against yourself, because you realize that the vortex, or the reason you were born, is why you're here. And so you stop struggling and calling your desires as not being created, and you know that they are. So now you get to enjoy the experience of teaching others how to create their reality in a whole new way. You can have fun with it. You can make what do you call those, sexual alchemies, or you can teach people about light and shadow, or you can teach people how to script, or that's why we're all here, you guys. Every manifestation tool works. We're just teaching people what's true of them and showing them their power, so they stop revolting. Because the power to end the riots, the power to make peace with yourself, the power to understand that racism is something that we hold in our body because of experiences that we may have had in our past. And you understand that the struggle has always been there. Slavery was written into the Bible as part of the dream, and you were told it was an illusion. You were told it would make the matrix. You were told child abductions. You were told women being sold to slavery. You were told all of this crap was bullshit. You were told that. You were told it was a lie. You were told you were going to descend into the lie and use your truth to make truth, not hold the lie. So what you're supposed to do is descend into the world, recognize the matrix for what it is, and then see past it, and then you lift the matrix up with you. Which is not, it's not the way that we've been taught. The way we've been taught is descend into the matrix, become one of the people in the matrix, and then try really hard to get your shadows to pay attention to you. Have you not noticed how futile this effort has been? Yes. All right. So that's what I want you guys to really, really get behind, because true awakening gives you the ability to see through walls. And if you can't see through walls, then you're not realizing that you're still upholding your shadow. Okay? You have this ability. And if you start leading this way, you already have a giant following. There are women here that I'm talking to that know I'm talking to them. They know it. They hear me. And there've been, they know I'm talking about them. They know I'm talking about my ultralight beings that are future me now. They know that these are the women that I have known in ancient lifetimes in other worlds, even though right now they may not recognize my body. We've been together in Lemuria. We've been together in Atlantis. We've been together in Sirius. We've been together in Arcturus. We've been together in planets that you have never heard of before. We've been in planes of existence together. These women that I'm calling future me now, I'm calling on you guys right now. You guys are my ultralight beings. You guys are the ones that must crack open your universal shell. It's an egg, you guys. It's an egg. The universe is an egg, and once it cracks open, you, the light inside, is born, and then you realize who you actually are, and it's a very different, you're no longer subject to the universe. The universe must go by you because it's your shadow. But we all must be cracking open our little universal egg because we've always been the universe. That's why we're here, is to teach every human being the design, the secrets hidden behind what is been holding them down. And so if you haven't figured out how to crack open your egg and that you're the light and that you control the entire universe at once, please have a discussion with me. I can help you understand this because you guys are the reason that I can do this, because I saw behind what you guys were doing, and then I saw the vision of the little universal egg cracking open and the light giving birth to itself. And it's a very, very different way of existing. Very different way of existing. You'll never uphold a conspiracy again. You will never say that someone is going to die because they have 5G. Why would you do that to yourself? In all of your bodies, that makes you no worse than Hitler. Do you understand? Even though it's an imaginary conception, you are hurting your own experience because you and the universe go down with you. So by not knowing who you are, you make 5G bigger than you. When it's a crock. It's a shadow that must obey the light. So who's not behaving in their best interest when they do that? And this is not a criticism, because I used to do it. I recognize my own shadow when I see it. So this is what I used to do. I used to not know who I was, and then I would beg people to wake up and to listen to me, and then I would claim that I knew what the hell was going on. Clearly I knew nothing, but I really thought I did. And Hitler, he did the exact same thing. In his mind, he thought he was purifying some kind of race or whatever, had no idea he was separating his shadow and treating it as such. And so the world went down with him. That's as dark as it gets. Thank God it's imaginary. Thank God it's not real. But if you can stop this trajectory right now, if you realize you are the universe and you realize that you have the power to lift your shadow and stop claiming how helpless it is. Instead, start talking about how amazing it is. How, I don't know, essential oils can help you. How, I don't know, how to improve your immunity just by accepting what's holistic. Hey, maybe try some CBD. If you start talking about the things that actually work, instead of upholding the shadow and telling them they're all going to go down in flames and die in this hell, maybe, just maybe, people will start listening to what you have to say because they really don't want to live that way. And you know it. So at what point do you realize that you are the light and that you have been looking at things backwards? What is occurring behind you is there for you to redeem it. Looking at it and preserving it in salt like Lot's wife. Because I'm alive in the word. I can use the word to tell you things if you want to go as deep and as universal as you like, right? So if you want to preserve it like Lot's wife, you're welcome to do so. That's what the human experience is about. However, it's for good or for bad. That's how you preserve it. So if you understand that you can uphold the bad just as easily by deeming it bad when it's not, it's just an unformed moment. It's not a complete moment that you flash frozen where you live. That's what you would call bad. And if you uphold the light, now that's what you call a good experience. And this up and down can stop now. Because if you understand the order of operations, you're not going to uphold what's bad. You're going to start upholding it in a different way. You're going to start empowering every person you meet. It's a habit. Most of you have been doing this all your life and not even realizing why you do it. You're doing it because you're learning how to love yourself. There is nothing but yourself. You and your self-conception make the universe that you're in. And so now get to busy making heaven on earth. Get real busy doing that. How do you do that? You start by correcting your thinking. Realize you're the gatekeeper, looking backwards upon yourself, not understanding what you're seeing. So if you uphold people in the wrong light, including the experiences you had that you didn't enjoy, they are now blocking your light. Their universal experience must become your experience. You must integrate your shadow until the two things become one thing and you see no separation. That's the design. That's the design. And ladies, you guys who are future me now, I swear to God, I'm not leading you down the wrong path. I'm not leading you down to La La Land. I'm trying to tell you how much juice you have so that you can become who you've always been. You guys already know your goddesses. You guys already know that. But what I'm trying to get you to remember is your 6D power. Your 6D power, the stuff you can't see, but you feel in your heart, because your heart is always connected to that 6D. It's always connected. So if you get that, then you start bringing down everything from heaven to earth, and literally you become like me and like the people in this group. Things just fall out of the sky. Or like future me now, when she looked for her ring and she couldn't find it, it appeared on her finger. As proof of what I'm saying. You make this as big or as small. Just remember, to God, a headache or cancer is the same thing. There's no degree of severity. It's a shadow that must obey the light. It's a shadow that must obey the light. So when you guys get really good at not making this huge thing, huge, because it's not, you then change the trajectory. So remember this, you guys. Remember this, because this is your power. This is everyone's power. And if you have a conversation with me, you might get shocked by the demonstration that will physically happen in your world as proof. Because I didn't even know that was happening until people started coming back to me and be like, you're not going to believe what just happened to me. And I do believe. Because you guys are my confirmation of the light, recognizing the light. And not playing in the shadows anymore. All right, you guys, future me now, I love you. I love you. I just want to remind you of your goddess power. 6D, you guys. 6D. We exist above 5D in order to help them. We've always been this way. We've never not been this way. In fact, if you look in the Bible, the references to the Queen of Heaven is a 6D goddess. Goddess energy. Dimensions are odd and even, masculine and feminine. They've always been this way. They work in perfect alignment. But if you understand that you have 6D power that then becomes 4D power, that then becomes 3D power, and you do it in an instant, you will never worry about a thing again. Never. Never. You will know. You will just know. And then when you say something, it happens. Because it's always been this way. It's always been this way. Okay? It's accepting your power. Accepting that. We're not animating the darkness anymore. There's no reason to give it life force and kill ourselves in the process. Not when the light and the shadow must follow the light. If you ever get confused, please go to a wall. Look at yourself, look at your shadow, and then walk away and look backwards and watch your shadow follow you. That's how it works. From behind the veil. That's what this is about. I love you guys.